All right, welcome back to call
41?
41, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
of Aligning with Success. Welcome those of you who are new, and we'd like to meet you if you are, and hopefully whoever invited you will introduce us to you momentarily. My name is Mike DiMuccio. I'm your co-host. Dave Rolfe is your other co-host, and we are two veterans in the network marketing space, having been with Niken both over 3 decades. So that's 60 years plus of experience coming at you. But that doesn't mean we're too old to learn anything. I actually spent the weekend with Richard Bliss Brooke. Some of you may know him as an author and network marketing success coach, and he's also been both a successful field leader and corporate, owned a network marketing company as well. His wife is a network marketer in her own right. Anyway, it was great to spend the weekend with him. I think some of you on this call, Norma, I saw you were in the call as well. There may be some others here on this call that were part of that meeting, and hopefully, Lynn was part of that meeting as well. So I know at least two of you, other than me, were part of that. We'll defer to that segment a little bit later, but I do want to maybe point out some of the highlights because I thought they were quite relevant um, for what it is that we are doing and aiming to do with our group here.
Hey,
Um,
Michael, what was Richard? Did he have a company called OxyFresh?
yes.
God, I was a distributor in OxyFresh.
Wow. That was some time ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He sold that company,
Yeah. It was a
and
great
then
product.
yeah, I heard nothing but good things about that company.
Yeah.
He was also on the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I have a clip of that here in my house of "We Create Millionaires" was the cover. I think it was the Time magazine cover. It may have been another magazine cover, but it was quite interesting. But yeah, so there's some great stuff that I took. Some of the oldies but goodies, but there were just some things I want to point out that I think are quite relevant to be reminded of as we go forward in developing our method, our modus operandi. Leo, you have your hand up. Do you have your hand up?
I just wanted to try my background. Yeah, I'd like to introduce you my new consultant. She's Martin. She speaks English very well. Martin, can
Where is
you?
Martin?
Martin Pigeon.
Ah, there you are,
Okay,
Martin. Okay,
she
great.
speaks English.
Excellent. So we'll get to meet you first up. Anja, I did see that you called. I know we're supposed to connect. It may have to be a little bit later or tomorrow. Um, Welcome, Martin. And I want to, first of all, before we move on to introducing Martin, I want to congratulate the Team Canada crew who really came through and shone on the event this weekend. Even though I was actually on the Richard Brooke event, fortunately, I have two accounts with Zoom, so I was on your Zoom as well, and was able to watch it and listen. And you guys did a fabulous job. And I hope everybody who saw it realizes what a powerful format that is to be able to really emphasize and share with people what it means to be a part of the Nikan community and the benefits that go with that. That format was, or similar to that format, was the one that we did with the Royal Diamonds in Latin America. And I was saying to someone today on a call, I would hate to be a person climbing a ladder, leaning up against the wall, to get to the top of that ladder and realize, oh my God, it's leaning against the wrong wall. And so many people, I'll give you an example. My nephew yesterday announced that he wants to be a plumber. And my first question back was, why? And then he started giving me logistics, and none of those logistics have anything to do with whether that ladder is leaning against the right wall or not. So he hasn't learned the fundamentals yet, and that's why we had that conversation of is what does the wall that you want to be leaning against look like? What does it look like to be the top achiever in that space, in that game? What's the life and the lifestyle that's associated with having strived so hard for so long to achieve something? are you sure the ladder's leaning up against the right wall? And so to have the testimonials, the interviews that we had on Saturday was an exemplary way of showcasing what it looks like to climb the ladder leaning against the Nican wall. Similarly, in the Latin American market, what does it look like? What's a view from the top look like if you've climbed that ladder? And that's the best way to know if the journey is even worth embarking on. And so I think this is a format that's quite formidable and should continue. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say hats off to Maggie, the team. You guys did a fantastic job. Leo, your English, no more excuses. You speak English. And so, great stuff, great stories, great heartfelt stories, which I think is really what was called for. Yeah, and I know everybody would echo that. So the playback of that call is available. If you haven't seen it, Martin, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely ask Leo to share it with you. It's such a worthwhile call to listen and learn. So, with that said, is there anybody else that we should meet on this call? Does anyone else have someone they'd like to introduce? Well, let's meet Martin. Martin, would you mind unmuting?
Hi,
Hi, welcome to the Niken family.
thanks.
Dave, just FYI, we can, thank you. Okay, so Martin, we don't know anything about you. You probably heard a little bit about us as a kind of a generality, but we would love to know who you are, where you're from, and yeah, tell us, first of all, where you're from.
Hi, I'm from South Shore of Quebec City. It's called Lévis, so it's close to the United States. It's like an hour from the border. So yeah, I live there and I work in native land res as a teacher, as a French teacher. So it's most of the kids learn French as a second language because their first language is at Scammit, which is their native language. And French to them because the government exam uh, had obliged them to know French. So that's what I do. I'm a mother. I have two kids, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay, great. By the way, your connection's a little bit intermittent. Um, so
Yeah,
your
I know. I
teacher,
went far away from the.
okay. So your teacher,
I
mother of
went a bit
two.
far away because my dog barking.
Oh, okay. It's okay. We don't mind dogs. Dogs are people too. Anyways, so tell us what it is that you are inspired by to have joined Nikan. What do you see for yourself?
Well, I'm on the autistic syndrome spectrum, so I'm really easily overwhelmed by tissues on the skin, everything, lights, and it's complicated. And well, I've started with I've received the name for this, and I just started with it, and it helps a lot. So there's a lot of clothing that I don't wear. I bought them, you buy them online and you get them and you're just disappointed because of the texture on the skin and now I'm okay with them. So
Wow.
that's something that just went, yeah, that's
Has
something that
anybody ever heard
convinced
that
me.
kind of story before?
And
Sorry,
I
go
don't know,
ahead.
but that's how I feel with it. And I bought the shoe.
The
I have
insoles,
only the French word, which is semelle.
the semelle,
That
yeah,
is,
the
and
insoles.
I've tried them, and I walk with them all the time, and it helps me a lot because I always feel it's always a little bit sore with my neck and my back, the lower back. When it comes to here, it gets pretty cold in fall and winter, and most of the time that's when my back blocks and my neck blocks, and it aches a lot. and now I'm okay right now. So I'm wearing them, and I don't feel like it's gonna block somewhere during during the fall. So I feel safer right now with that. So I'm
Excellent.
really, really happy with it.
By the way, just an FYI, this necklace on children who have a similar story is phenomenal. We have had so many great results. So if you know any kids that need to know about us, so let me go back then. So far, your experience with the products has been very, very positive. Obviously, that's one of the
Yeah.
first things we need to feel for us to have confidence to share Nikan with anybody. But that doesn't mean you join a business. You know, yes, I bought the product, I enjoy the product. Thank you. Why did you join Nikan as a business? Why did you join Leo's team as a business?
Well, I thought that people could hear a little bit more about it. And of course, the products can be somewhere a little bit expensive. So when you can, make people join, so you can, it's easier for you to get the products. It's less expensive for yourself. So that's something. And I have my nonprofit organization, and I really wanted to um, have some some kind of a financial boost with it, So, and I said, maybe if I do Nick, and I could inject the money in the nonprofit organization, so it could be a baseline budget to help others, which is very, very important for me. And I don't want to associate with, a business like, I don't know, Domino's Pizza or whatever. It's not that healthy. I wanted something healthy and very good for kids and families, because our nonprofit organization just
That's
target
fantastic.
families.
Martin, that's
So yeah,
fantastic.
so that's
That's
why I really,
so there's no amount of money that's too much. You've got a reason to earn a lot.
no, exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we really need that baseline to make sure to cover everything. So yeah.
let me add to your story, by the way, something to think about. You said by joining, you can buy the products at a discount, which helps for cost. Well, I'll tell you what, if cost is an issue, how would you
Mhm.
like to get the products for free? You can show people how they
Yeah,
can
well, that's one of
with five other families, then the income they would generate from those five other families would pay for their products. So let's say you bought a necklace. If they shared the necklace five times, the income would generate enough to cover the cost of that necklace. If they bought a sleep system, five families, the income would generate. So now you have a way to not only have the products, but to actually have the products get paid for just by paying it forward, by paying this amazing technology and result forward. Not bad, right? Good. Awesome. Well, thank you and welcome to Niken. I look forward to hearing your continuing story as you make progress in generating some money for that worthy cause. Paula, you have your hand up.
Yes, what was the first product that she was introduced to for the
The
clothing
necklace.
sensitivity?
The necklace.
Okay,
The necklace,
thank
yeah.
you.
And so for those of you who, again, know children who are on that spectrum, I can say nothing but compliments to this necklace. We have some stories, we actually have videos of one child who wouldn't wear the necklace, but they could get them to wrap the necklace around his ankle. Same thing. The results were the same. The fact that this child was able to speak without interruption was astronomical for the family. Okay. Nice to see some faces. Gabriel, nice to see your face on the call. Anja, you too as well. Welcome. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce someone? Okay, well then let's jump to the call that we had this weekend. Lynn, you were on the call. Norma, you were on the call, and I'm sure you have some highlights for the call. Dave, I'm not sure if you've got something that you want to cover before that or after. Just let me know. But I've got some notes here myself. So let's go ahead and start with you, Norma. You're first on my screen. Do you want to share maybe some of the key highlights that you got from that day and a half session with Richard Brooke and his team.
Sure.
And we
Hang on,
had
I'll just tell.
breakouts too, by the way, so we got to also learn from other people involved.
Actually, Lynn and I were on the same breakout room, which was cool.
Oh,
And
nice.
we met a third person that joined us too, which was actually and a fourth one that stayed a short while with us. But I did. This was my first time to be with Richard. I'd read some of his books, and he's one that was the 4-year career person. And I marked down several of the books, and I've ordered. He's got a Mark II coming out that I've ordered to, and then it's got there's another one that's something on fire that I was planning on getting too. But I like his
It's
books.
Mach 2 with your hair on fire. That's the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a second book too, of another one coming out too, a brand new one that he mentioned on it too. Um, I was a little bit distracted. I guess I'm from one of the things that he had his IT person that was answering in the I guess the question or the chat room, and maybe the younger folks can multitask, but I try to
Nope,
focus on the
lost you.
speaker. And can you still there? But I have a tendency to try to focus on them, and it was hard to focus on both of them. But it was very good. We had, I think, almost 200 people that was there, and he showed some of the compounding interest, which we've heard before. And a lot of this was reinforcing. He told his 4 cornerstones was people, sales, income, and asset value. And he says that most people forget, he said about the 4 years ago that, you know, we don't realize what happened, but the 4 years already passed. So time keeps going. So what you're going to do with those time that it goes away? Are you going to be the best way to explain network marketing? He said to a prospect is to practice, practice, practice on it. And he said the passion is to find out about retirement. What do you want to do when you retire? And it's a super MLN man, as if you want to look at him that way. Uh, he wants to share the model before the company, and I think I'm probably rambling. I had a lot of computer challenges that weekend, which was not good. But the 4 steps, he says, to get motivated, you want to ask, from 1 to 5 minutes about introduce yourself, and you want to have it the a question is maybe sacred time. He stressed this is that you need to set aside the 15 minutes, kind of like our power hour. I want to think that you want to isolate yourself, do not disturb. You almost have to schedule it to so your family and also your company people don't interrupt or call. And it's a compounding consistency. And he talked about the penny doubling for 30 days versus every other day. So it's quite a bit of difference, or if you just kind of haphazardly do it. So he says, was it those are some of the bigger ones that I think I jumped out on.
Hmm.
Um, we had a Skylar that was a lady that was the other team that kind of took charge a lot of times. We had 8 steps becoming what is it? An MLM master. One was to connect, be curious, be present, be candid, be of service, be patient, invite people, and honor the no's because maybe it's just not for now, maybe it's for later. And those were the ones that jumped out. I put a lot of stars on it, but those are the ones I let someone else share.
Awesome. Okay, I hope you guys are taking notes. They screen the call for you. You're getting the highlights here. Lynn?
Well, Michael, I heard a lot what I heard from you and Dave. One of them is you always focus momentum, and he just has his own style, how he talked about. Dave always talked about results and tracking, and that was something that I don't think I appreciated what that means until I understood it from Richard. Well, how do you know how you're doing if you don't measure it in some way or form? That was a really just sort of anchored it for me. But where I personally benefited his explanation of consistency, Mike. And for example, well, we brush our teeth every night. Why do I brush my teeth every night or every morning, whatever you choose? Why am I not able to do the same consistency with my, let's say, my calls, my invitation and contact? And when he put it in a different perspective, it sort of was a aha for me because I did not put the same value on it, and I misunderstood what the consistency means. It's not endurance and just discipline. It's more than that. And the other one that was really important for me, he chose the words. You got to choose your words carefully. If I am consistent for 30 days, it's not as effective as if you say when or as if it's done. So those were something that I heard from our NECAN leaders, from you guys, but he just puts a different style on it. And I like the way it looked very much, what's the word? Genuine is not the word. How he asks questions and how he's able to get where people are stuck and be able to sort of get you to understand why you're stuck and open that door. There's lots, but consistency was the key one that affected my personal understanding of this business.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go through my notes and see if some of this resonates for you. One of the first things he talked about is if you have not been involved in network marketing, or if you were going to start out in a network marketing business, one of the first things you want to do is find a product that you fall in love with,
Mhm.
because it's all about compounding. So you're going to be sharing your story, and you're going to be sharing your story consistently for a long time. It better be a story that you love. So falling in love with the product can be really, really, really important. Obviously, having a company that's been around as long as Nikan, they call that a legacy company. There's only about a dozen or so of these companies, which which demonstrates the viability of the long term. The fact that you can build something for long term. The evidence of it is that this is a business that's not a roll of the dice. It has a lot of legs to it, a lot of history. There's some things that I actually incorporated already into my PowerPoints. I added this slide, which I didn't have before because I thought, oh wow, this is a pretty simple thing. What is it that we do? Write this down. We do this. We use the products. We recommend. Those are keywords. Recommend the products, and we get this. Share the whole concept. These are three things. These are three steps. We use the products, we recommend the products, and we share the whole concept. Now you might wonder, well, what exactly is the whole concept? And so I added this as well, sharing the whole concept. We talk about why, how, and what. That's the whole concept. So really, really important. There's another term that he used. I'll get to it in a minute, but those are two very, very important things. So what do? We use the products. We share the products, especially our story, and we recommend the products, and we share the whole concept. Okay. So when Dave and I have been talking about the business of Nikan, sharing the whole concept, that leads to the conversation of compounding inevitably, because that's the concept of network marketing. And what you just heard Norma talking about, I'm going to just talk on a little bit more. He said, with respect to sharing the concept of networking, there's a few ways to do it. There's the visual way to do it. And he said you should get very, very good at the visual way to do it. Exponential growth. So the four pillars are: number one, people. So you have to have people. Number two, sales. You have to have sales. Number three, income. And number four, what you're building over time is the value of that asset value, which is what Norma was talking about. So I'll give you an example. Um, Exponential growth is the key to people, right? So sales, and so how does he demonstrate exponential growth? Learn this. Now, you've seen me do this every time you've seen a Nikan presentation. You've seen it. You've seen it over and over and over again. I refer to as very specific. Am I sharing this? Are you seeing this yet?
No.
Maybe not yet. Hang on. You see me refer to a very specific diagram every time. Why? because this diagram is what he's talking about. Now, he doesn't differentiate so much between a customer and a consultant because we're all customers, right? Whether you're a promoter of the products or not, you're still a customer. So he says, learn the numbers, learn these 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. You learn that progression, or 3, 3, 9, 27, 81, 243, 729. I just use this one progression because this is the one progression that lines up with our compensation plan, where you could build to Royal Diamond in with 3 powerful legs. You could do 4 by 4, or you can do 5 by 5, 5, 25, 125, whatever you decide, or show them all. The progression is people. You need to show this because this is trying to explain network marketing to a person who doesn't really understand it or thinks they understand it, but hasn't done the math. Okay? So you show the progression. Then what do? Sales. Well, he said everybody's a customer, so sales is represented by a number. So he says use 100. So if you notice, this diagram is based on 100 CV. So if you put 100 CV through this organization, through this network, you get volume. And there's the volume. You see a plus sign because it's actually more than that because we have customers in this model. But these are the progression of volumes generated by a growing organization as it expands out, doing that 100 points of volume. Then he said the average income, take a percentage. For his illustration, he used 7%. What do we know in Nikken? It's 6% in our compensation plan. So if you times the volume by 6%, the CV by 6%, what do you got? Income. So you're showing the income associated with the growth of this organization. And he said asset value is 200 times the monthly income. So if you've got a Nikken business that's spitting out $1,000 a month times 200, that's an asset worth 200,000. What would you have to do to save $200,000 to invest? Or if you have an asset producing 5,000 a month, 200 times 5,000, that's a million. That's $1 million asset. What would you have to do today to accumulate $1 million? Now, if you are using the real estate model, which is the example he used, he said most people think about real estate in these terms. You work in real estate, you've got to save or hoard pretty much every penny you can every single month to invest in a 30-year from now nest egg. A 30-year from now nest egg. So you're saving and squirreling away money for 30 years to use that money 30 years from now for the purposes of retirement, which most people don't do as a rule. Only few people do. Meanwhile, if you are investing in your network marketing business, which is sharing using the products, recommending, sharing your experience, and telling the whole story, sharing the whole concept, if you were doing that, then you would be compounding over time a business that's producing a ton of possibility in terms of residual. So if you're comparing apples to apples, that's a great way to do it. Consistency, that was the key. He also uses the example of consistency as, the penny doubling. If you saved a penny, Norm, I think you talked about this. Does everybody know the number? If I doubled your penny doubled it every day for 30 days, what would you end up on day 30? 5.2 million. But what if I doubled it every other day? In other words, what if I work my Nikken business every other day instead of every day?
$160.
A power hour every other day? Yeah, it's $163.84. 5.2 million versus $163 just for skipping a day, every other day. So the consistency, the idea of compounding is massive. And you might not need to see a result every day. It's the effort that's being put in, because at the end of the day, the law of numbers works. And here's another one that he mentioned. 3%, or I think it was 7%. Let me just find that number. It's somewhere on my notes. It was a very, very small number of people who are ready to make a big move in life. And I think we expect too much from too many people, not realizing that that could lead to disappointment and us maybe missing the whole point, missing the game altogether. It's really a small percentage of the population that are really ready to do anything at any time. We just got to get to that small percentage of the population sooner.
I think it was
Sooner.
3%, Mike, that he
Yeah,
talked about.
it was 3%. And so coming back to the question, this is what we do. We use the product, we recommend the product, and we share the whole concept. Could you get three people to do this? Let me say that again. Use the product, recommend the product, share the whole concept. Could you get three people to do this? Especially if you fell in love with the product? So that really simplifies what is it that we do, right? Because that's the truth. And so if you're investing daily in that activity, then the results, the law of numbers will kick in and the compounding will kick in and you will experience what we all experience, the bend in the knee, where the business all of a sudden hits that critical mass and then starts to grow almost independently of anything you do. But there's that the formula can't be broken. You can't do the other every other day. It's got to be the consistency of the activity that leads to the compounding and the bend in the knee. And why most people don't experience that? Because most people don't treat it like a business. They just don't treat it like a business. They're not consistent. Can you imagine if you had a shop, even if it was just a simple coffee shop, and you showed up whenever to open the doors? People come to the store, they don't know if you're open or closed. How long do you think people will be your customer? Not very long. One time, they're done. So that's our
Michael,
business. Yes.
I was walking in downtown San Francisco and I'm waiting to hop on my ferry to go home. It's a gorgeous 70-degree day in San Francisco. But if I look at all the meetings that you and I did, everything that's been covered today is in those meetings.
Yeah,
Ev- ev-
exactly.
Everything that's been said, it's really hard to, it's what's so fascinating about our business and our industry is that there are, 1,000 ways to say the same thing.
Yeah.
But the concept is we do one thing. We from the excuse me, from the beginning when we talked about where fall in love with the idea or the product or the concept or whatever it is, and then share it with as many people as you can, and away you go. Is how we all built our business. It's fascinating. So I'm really happy that people are finally getting to see somebody else say the same thing we're saying.
Yeah, and it's nice because again, this is not somebody who just fell off the boat here. He's been in this industry for decades like us and from a totally different experience as well from the corporate point of view, having been an owner of a company. Um, by the way, it was only 7% are ready for radical. The number was 7% are ready for radical. So don't expect radical from everybody. Only 7%. And I am fine with it being only 7%. If only 7% of the people I made contact with, which is probably accurate, became a superstar, and I only need three superstars, then what's 7% to get you three? 100 people? 50 people? It's kind of our list, right? So yeah, it's totally in line. 97% though, they'll stay in their comfort zone. A lot of them will stay in their comfort zone. Um, Here's another one. Comparison is the thief of joy. I like that saying. Here's the important part. Okay, I wanted to get to this. This is really important. There's a couple of things he talks about. Pace of play. The pace of play. So what is the pace of play? It's the rate at which you're filling your pipeline. The rate at which you're filling your pipeline. That's the pace of play. So if you're in the power hour, you should be thinking about, is it one prospect a day? Is it two prospects a day? Is it three prospects a day? What's your pace of play? Because that determines how quickly you're going to find those people and start compounding. The difference also between where you may be at and where somebody who's new is at, example, Martin, what I would advise Martin is a different pace of play than I would advise you. She has a crisp, fresh names list, 100 plus people. And we know in that names list, there's going to be a few aces. We know it's a deck of cards. There's only so many aces. We want to get to those aces really, really quickly. So her pace of play of use the products, recommend the products, show the whole concept will be much faster in launch mode than it would be in slow, consistent build. So there's a launch mode and then there's the consistent build. So and everybody can launch whenever they decide to. Launching means you have a list. You have to have a list to launch. You cannot launch without a list. So most people launch in their first 90 days, which is why the We Accelerate bonus is there. The We Accelerate bonus is for us to encourage the behavior of launching somebody new in the business so that we too earn the most we can earn by helping them launch and see a lot of people in a short period of time. So the pace of play during a launch when you enroll somebody, critical. Very, very critical. And it's critical for them because their newness to this actually works in their favor. Why? Because they rely on you now. They're relying on an upline, which is the ABC, and that's the critical component to a successful launch. ABCs, ABC calls, ABC contacts. And that is why the formulation of Niken's business strategy has always been relying on the ABC and why we always have a 90-day launch strategy. Now, if you didn't do that, you sort of dipped your toe in the water and slowly came along, you've never actually launched. So how do you know what it is? Well, you could look at your list, maybe recompile that list. You probably didn't even talk to the best people yet, my guess. And now you have a little bit of experience. You probably know what those people actually would be like, who you would really want to be involved. You could actually build your A list again, and for the sole express purposes of launching, doing a 30-day blast. Everybody can focus for 30 days. 3 months is a little bit more challenging, but 30 days, absolutely. If you've got somebody who's brand new, you could live vicariously through them, which is what I learned how to do. I learned how to launch people when I sponsored them because, well, hey, that was their people, not mine, so I didn't have anything to worry about. And they could use my credibility to talk to their people, so that worked out fine. And I could find really, really quickly somebody good in that grouping of 100 names or so because you're going to find them just by the law of numbers. So I want to get to them sooner than later. And the other thing that it did is it created a story. That launch is a story that they can then duplicate because they have a story. And their story is what they share. The whole concept includes the story. So really, really important that we go back into a mindset where we launch people. We launch them. The We Accelerate bonus was put there to launch people, not to get people started, but to launch them, which is a different, I mean, think about launching a rocket. There's a countdown, which means there's a preparation. There's a fueling, which happens before the countdown. So they get the rocket ready, they fuel the rocket, they do the countdown, and then it's full blast. It's not half measures. That's a launch. So if you made it a point of being a launch specialist, you become a launch specialist, then you're going to be looking for people to launch, not for people to get started. And I don't ever look for people to get started. I only look for people to launch, always, ever. The only time I revert back to getting them started is if our launch fell on its face because they didn't commit, not because I didn't commit. So the slow build up and whatever until they're actually ready to launch. You'll know when they're ready to launch. They'll be telling you because they'll learn a bunch of stuff, including maybe just listening to this call. So that's another piece of the pie. And let me see, there's another part of this. Okay. Very, very, very important. Network marketers. The core rank. How many of you know what Niken's core rank? Every network marketing company has one. What do you know is Niken's core rank? You probably never heard that term before, but if I'm saying it, what is Niken's core rank?
Silver.
Lynn says it's silver. Maggie? Maggie, I think I'm reading your lips. It's a silver.
Silver.
Silver. Maggie says it's silver. Anybody else?
Silver.
Silver. Okay. Yes. Correct answer. Niken's core rank is silver. And what a core rank really is you could build all the way up to the top of the compensation plan in multiples of silver. In other words, silver's like a brick. You can build an income. If you guys have been on Dave's training, you know how to generate the income. You build it based on how many leaders do I have participating, and that's an average number, and those are silvers that we use as a measure of how many leaders, because silvers are consistent. And they need to qualify. Silvers need to meet their qualifications in order to get their bonuses, so they're much more likely to qualify. Therefore, their volume is much more consistent. So we can actually do a calculation of how many silvers do I need to create, leaders on my team, in order to generate whatever income it is that I desire. So the idea of silver being a core rank, which means you can build all the way to the top and advance in rank based on the core rank, which means then what we need to do is we need to have a lower rank, hear me out, a lower rank that the new people need to declare that they're going for the core rank. So what lower rank do we have that somebody needs to make a declaration they're going for the core rank? They actually have to declare it. I'm going for silver. Well, if they didn't know silver was a core rank, they wouldn't declare it. But Bela, somehow she figured it out. She figured it out. I got to go silver. Somebody had put a bug in her ear and she knew she had to go silver. And what happened? She made a decision. And from the moment she made a decision, her behavior modified. Her expectations modified. Her language probably modified. Everything shaped according to the desire to get the job done, and it got done. So all the time leading up to that didn't get the
Both
job
the
done.
Mariners and Jays.
What?
Sorry.
All the time leading up to that didn't cause her to go silver. All the dribs and drabs and things, whatever, that didn't lead to silver. Silver required a focused effort and a declaration. I'm doing this, a concentrated effort, and all the rest kind of happens. So, recap. Our core rank is silver, which means we need to be breaking silvers. They're the brick that builds the wall. And in order for silvers to be created, broken, as the terminology is, we need people to declare, I'm going silver at the lower ranks. Now, what lower ranks do we have that a person could declare, I'm going silver? There's only two. This is not a hard one.
Senior and executive.
Okay, senior and executive, which means that silver needs to be created as a building block of silvers and executives. Now, seniors and executives? Seniors 500 points, executive is 1,500 points. Sounds to me like we have a plan to get somebody started. You buy in at 500 or you buy in at 1,500. Sounds kind of like the good, better, and maybe there's even a best case scenario. So silver can be achieved by onboarding people who are committed to doing the business, and they're onboarded, good or better, at least senior or executive, as building blocks. Do we have packs that can accommodate that? I think the water pack is just over 500 points. Do we have 2 or 3 packs that can accumulate to 1,500 points? Yes, we do. So, recap. The advancements to silver is a function of someone making a declaration at a lower rank, the lower rank being senior or executive. The achievement of senior or executive can be accomplished with their purchase of getting started. So if we're trying to get started sooner and getting people launched sooner, making a declaration to get launched into silver sooner, where do they learn this if they're new? Where do they come to the understanding, oh my God, I need to come in at senior or executive. I need to get my products, my good, better, best pack, and I need to declare to my upline I'm going for silver. Where did this come from? This understanding. And if we're trying to get it done sooner than later, it can't be something they come to the conclusion on by just joining calls every now and then. Somebody has to have given them that set of instructions, and they need to know that that set of instructions is legit. Where do you suppose that can happen? Anybody have any clue? Nancy?
I was going to say ABC.
An ABC, yeah. And do we have an ABC that represents that information?
The Thursday night call.
Correct, Mary Ellen. The Thursday night call, the very PowerPoint that I'm referring to on this refers to everything that I'm talking about. It shows a launch strategy right here. There's a 30-day launch strategy, and it shows a getting started. Pick a pack. 1 is good, 2 is better, 3 is best. And then it actually shows what does it look like, oops, when we actually launch these people. This is what it looks like, and this is how they advance and rank. So they're getting the instruction that silver is a thing and that they can achieve that in multiples of a thing, which are fueled by a choice as to how they get started. 1 pack, 2 packs, or 3 packs. This is where the education's coming from. Now, I want to also refer to something that I would really like you guys to listen to. This was recorded ancient time, but it's one of those oldies but goodies. It's called Silver's a Blast. It's a YouTube video. It's actually an audio, but you find it on YouTube. You can just listen to it. It's called Silver apostrophe S, Silver's a Blast. It's the double entente. A blast meaning it's fun, a blast meaning it's a focused launch. Please listen to it. This call was recorded when in that 2-month window of time that I was thinking about this call, I recorded a number of silvers who had just gone silver inside of that 2-month window, quite a few of them. And I extracted from them the formula. Even though they were different, even though they had a different launch strategy, even though they started at a different time, what was consistent was extracted in this conversation. And you will find, I'll give you a hint, the first thing that everyone had to do, regardless of how long they were in the business. Some were in the business for 8 months, some were in the business just for a matter of days, but they all had to do one thing before the clock started ticking for their silver run. Guess what that thing was? Maggie?
Make a decision.
They had to make a decision, henceforth a declaration. So listen to Silver's a Blast because there's more to that story. Listen to the whole thing. Wait, Paula, you had your hand up. Didn't want to ignore that.
I was just going to say I just sponsored somebody, and because I placed the order on the first Wednesday of the month, 2 waterfalls is an executive. Not even
Okay.
2 packs, 2 waterfalls, period.
So the double PV on a Wednesday is something you can incorporate into your
Yeah.
strategy through the end of this year to help somebody get a fast start. And remember, a fast start is getting them to silver rank as quickly as possible. Anja? It's Anya,
Yeah,
I know.
Anya. Yes. Anya is Tanya, no T.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all the new things that Nikon is incorporating. And when we work with a new prospect that's becoming a distributor and they have that excitement to combine it with the 21 Club. I am a big fan of the 21 Club. And now you don't even have to do the rollout. You just do the 21 presentations. But the new person learns so much. And I love what you shared before, Michael, about how people learn through the ABC process, especially when they're new. By the time they have heard you do 21 presentations, and then you combine it with the double volume Wednesdays, it's like a win-win.
Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, I'm not sure who mentioned the book. It is Leadership on Fire, the new book from Richard Brooke. So if you want to make an order for a book, that's the one you want, Leadership on Fire. Let's see. I think I covered what I wanted to get. So just a quick recap, and everything that I'm talking about, I'm making sure the new languaging and everything is tweaked into the presentation so that we start to have a common language. When I say core rank, they're going to stand core rank. And you'll see in my PowerPoint, it's emphasized. So when you come to a Thursday call and you bring somebody on that call, they're going to see this is whether it's the Thursday call or any other time. It's not the only time I do this presentation. I do it for whoever needs it. But where are we? Our strategy here. When I get into the compensation, well, right there, you'll see silver is starred. It says core rank here on the right bottom side. If I get into the compensation plan, if there's time or they ask questions, once again, silver is highlighted and it's referred to as the core rank because it's where we maximize our earnings as well from their standpoint. This is one of the reasons why we want to help them get there as quickly as possible. But your homework for this week is listen to the audio Silver's a Blast. It is such a quick and simple reminder that the business is duplicatable when you set up the conditions for what you're going to duplicate. But if you don't have the conditions in your mind or in practice for what you're going to duplicate, it's hit and miss. It's just hit and miss. So we need to have higher expectations for people who want what they say they want. And one last story before I open it up. There was a fellow that I sponsored. You've heard this story a million times, probably. Anyway, I introduced this business to an individual who dressed the part. He had a beautiful suit on, gray suit, very handsome, big joyous, big jubilant voice, and so forth. But he didn't even have the money that day to enroll. He didn't have the money to actually sign up as a consultant. After I spent an hour and a half doing my thing, presenting Nikan, answering questions, and so on and so forth. I was in Montreal. I was there on a quick trip. I wanted to find somebody to work with. So it cost me money to be there. But I spent the time, he spent the time, and I figured, okay, he doesn't have the money to enroll. How is he going to, the good, better, best is not even a consideration at this point. But he asked me sincerely, do you think I can make money at this? And I said, I believe you can if you follow the rule. If you follow the rules, if you follow what I give you as guidance, yes, you can. And so I sent him away with a lesson. It was a lesson that was given to all of us who had ever attended a thing called Gold Training with Larry Prophet. And Larry Prophet told this story of when he was a young guy in the network marketing space, and he had come across an individual, and that individual didn't have the money to get started. And his deal was about 3,000. It cost about 3,000 to get somebody going in the business. So he sees this person, he doesn't have any money, and he says to this person, do you have any children? He says, yeah, I have a daughter. He says, oh, if your daughter came home or you found out that she wasn't well and she went to the doctors and there were a very critical situation that emerged and she needed an operation and that operation was going to cost $3,000 or she could risk her life, what would you say to your daughter? And the gentleman said to him, to Larry, well, I'd find the money. I see. So it's not a question of the money, it's just a question of your desire. And with that, he sent the guy off thinking, it's your life. It's up to you to do what you want to do. So I told this story to this young man in Montreal, thinking, okay, I did my part. I gave it a shot. I gave it the best. I gave him the pearls of wisdom that have been handed down through time that could make a difference or not. I've done this many times before. So I have very little in the way of expectation of what might happen. 3 months later, in this house, I get a phone call, and on the other end of the phone is a very thick French Canadian accent that says, I got the money. I'm like, I know that voice. Wow. What? Tell me what happened. And so he tells me the story, what he did to make the money. He was selling long distance calling cards in the streets of Montreal. And he became their top salesperson. They put people under him that he was teaching and earning an income from. And I'm like, why didn't you just keep doing that? He says, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I want to do what you're doing. Wow. So not only did he have the money to get his products, he also made enough money to put a down payment on a car so he had transportation. And that gentleman built an empire and an incredible future. Met his wife, has children, has a great life and a great lifestyle, thanks to a lesson learned. Because what do you think happened to him every time he went to sponsor somebody and they said to him, I don't have the money? Guess what he would say? I know exactly how you feel. I didn't have the money either, but I knew that if I was going to make this happen, I needed to do whatever I needed to do. And getting the money was my first priority. Now, how would you like to have a guy like that on your team?
Mm.
And I'll tell you something. If we steal that from them, he would not have become a millionaire. If I would have stolen that from him, oh, don't worry, I can sign you up. I'll pay your $50. You can pay me back later. If I would have stolen that from him, he would not have earned what he needed to earn in order to become duplicatable and become a millionaire. So don't play lightly that if one of the things that they need to do is figure out how to put $1,500 on their credit card, let them figure it out. When they're ready to play, you're ready to play. I know some people might say, oh, that's really asking too much. Is it? If they want to be serious about changing their life, they better get serious about changing their life today. And I know they have the money for their cell phone, and I know they have the money for their restaurants, and I know they have the money for all the things that they want. And if they want this bad enough, they'll find the money. They'll put the money apart. They'll do whatever. They have the money for a vacation when they need it. Everybody has the money they need when they need it because they want what they want. Look at all the objects in your house and tell me, what of those things really changed your life? None of them. Did you have the money for them? All of them. So this is a really important lesson when it comes to being a coach and teaching people the laws of success. You cannot and you must not compromise with success. Can't barter. Cool, huh? Well, take that to heart. Listen to the audio, and your Silver's a blast. I know you'll enjoy it. And there's tremendous lessons in it. You might want to listen to more at once because you'll find that there's about 5 very key things that had to happen that everyone made happen that got the job done. So there you have it. I guess we don't really have time for much Q&A at this point. I'm sorry about that. Does anybody have a question or anything that they want to add in the last 60 seconds we have?
Well, Jeannie and Nancy were at Richards. I would love to hear their point of view.
Okay. Yeah, you guys were there too. So do you have any things you want to add to this call?
I wasn't there for the full thing, but I was on this morning for the hour. Actually, it went what, an hour and a half or more. And no, I had taken his course when we had gotten back from Hawaii, when Luis had him come out and talk to us. And so a lot of it rang true and it reminded me. And I, in that 15 minutes, contacted 4 people and 3 people responded. I'm going to be getting together with 2 of them, and I thought, yeah, I remember.
It actually works. Wow.
Yeah,
Not rocket science, but it works. Consistency pace. All right. Well, that's the call for tonight. You look for the recording on the regular chats, the core consultant chat. If you're not on the core consultant chat, send me a message and I'll make sure you have the link to join. And Anya, I'll call you back as soon as I can.
Richard, real quick. No, I'm sorry. Mike,
Yeah,
one of the
Norma?
things I took out of Richard real quick was you may have gotten your habits from him. He didn't spoon feed us. He said that's life. And if he expected you to find the answer, it was up to you to go find it. Not that he had to go dig up all the answers for you. So He expects you to do some work too.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Tomorrow night, you'll have the new slides, Michael?
Yeah, I'll have them tomorrow in the chat.
Thank you.
Hey.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank